Gentlemen, imagine that.
Are we invited?
Of course you're invited. You're always invited, man.
Yeah, right.
You're always invited, you're right. Send the invitation, Jeff.
By the way, Senator, you're saying Kisumu City is one of the cleanest, county, is one of the cleanest counties.
They've implemented the Urban Areas and Cities Act, which we have proposed for major cities in the country, including Mombasa, Nairobi, where you have an opportunity of appointing city managers. So split Nairobi into 4 or 5 zones, appoint city managers to take care of X, Y, Z.
Do you agree?
Exactly. In fact, I was just replying to a text from a good friend from Kepsa. Like, Sakaja wanted to be governor, but Nairobi can't work. That's why these other cities have done it across. And I'm like, it can. The first thing you do, you can't run Nairobi like any other county.
No.
Yeah, it's not the same. And that's why the Constitution envisages a very special relationship between the national government and Nairobi City County. In fact, ideally, and which is why when you ask me about the party I'll be in is the party that will form government. Because I don't want to be governor and the president is from another party.
Right.
But number 2, the person in charge of water in Kayole cannot be the same person in charge of it in South Sea. Or in Mukuru is the same person dealing with it in Dagoretti South. You need to have 4 boroughs, Nairobi North, East, West, and South. Thereafter, I appoint city managers for each of those boroughs, and with the same structure, the top down at that level. So you know the person in charge of garbage in Westlands, and you know this is the budget. This is how you're doing it. My work will be just to drive. I say, okay, if there's garbage here, you go home. Unless you've stepped down that accountability and you take devolution to 1 step lower and have those managers who have no interest in politics, their work is just to do that work. They'll have the sub-county administrators under them, and you give them the resources. And I've told you we can get up to 50 billion in this city. In fact, even more, based on that sectional properties law. Yeah, Nairobi will work. It must work. And once Nairobi works, Kenya works, Jeff. So I want people who don't believe, please, let's make Nairobi work.
But we must go, we are just simply saying, for purposes of Nairobi, let's return Nairobi to factory settings. Nairobi, we grew up where there was garbage bins outside Riara. I mean, where I grew up.
Even in Gara, we had the Camero.
Garbage outside. You take your garbage outside, it's collected.
And what you've paid for water is for garbage. But see, Nairobians are now providing their own solutions. We pay for own security. We pay for own garbage. You're buying water from a Bowser. So why are you paying taxes?
We used to take the water directly from the taps. It's possible. It's possible. But Jeff, the most important thing, and perhaps the sacrifice that all of us must make for purposes of this country, is devolution must work. The underlying word is must work. Because devolution is about services. When I was growing up, there was a hospital in Rhodes, just say at Polytechnic, you could go and get treated. Up there in Dagoretti, there was a hospital. People get services in Nairobi. People come to work, they want peace, people want to wake up and their streets are clean, that sort of thing. And it's possible to get organized, get the city organized in such a way that you can check the traffic, you can, on all these magic screens of yours, the governor of Nairobi or any other county can sit and can be able to monitor all whatever is happening in the city. But the persons who crafted the Urban Areas and Cities Act, and that is the advice we gave to Kisumu, contemplated that Nairobi is a special city. So the idea of the agreement done between the former governor of Nairobi and the government is actually what is contemplated. It's not supposed to be a default system. You're supposed to surrender part of it because it's a seat of government. It houses government, and government is supposed to take care of some things. In the past, and I hope we can do that, that government can pay on itself, pay for the buildings that it owns in the city, pay rates, because they no longer pay rates.
If I remember discussion with President Uhuru before he became president, and he was like, whoever becomes governor of Nairobi, I just tell government, look, ile pesa yote mmekuwa tunakudai wacha, but be paying from now. That will run a lot of things. I remember he was so emphatic about that, because he understood. I mean, he was the Minister of Finance. He understood what exactly would come out of it. So Nairobi must work, and we'll make Nairobi.
And devolution must work.
And devolution must
work. Not
corruption
just
has been devolved. You know that.
But you know what you must do, and the point I wanted to add: the more you use technology and reduce human interaction with cash in your systems. So on top of the magic wall for your traffic, and you've done our mass transit, which can be done. The guys who did it, I was in Saudi Arabia recently. Looking at the issue of the girls there. But I met Kenyans who work there. The guy who's designed and implementing the Saudi metro, who did the Dubai mass transit, is a guy called George Opondo, Kenyan.
He's Kenyan.
And they're Kenyans.
He's a Kenyan, yes.
They did theirs in 3 years.
The Dubai one, yes, is a Kenyan.
It can be done, and the space is there. Most of it is public land, so you're not talking about compensation. But until you unlock that one issue, you not sort out housing in the city, productivity, and all these political factions are trying to raise, build, economic prospects for Kenyans, must make it efficient. Today, you cannot do a meeting in Westlands and in, the south of Nairobi. No. You choose one. you can't do both. Yeah. We're losing 50 billion shillings because of lack of productivity. So I'm telling my friend from Kepsa, it can work, and we will do it. And I understand the skepticism, but let's not look at Nairobi in terms of what it has always been, but in terms of what it must be.
Before the break, I asked you, Senator, you were at the forefront. You were one of the cheerleaders of Jubilee.
Not cheerleader, designer.
Thank you.
Not cheerleaders.
9 years later. Is it 9 years?
Yeah, it's 9 years.
You're disappointed?
We launched TNA on the 20th of May 2012.
Correct.
So it's going to be 10 years next year in May. And we had a dream of institutionalizing our politics. And then later we came together with URP to form the Jubilee coalition. And then later 14 parties brought together. And I remember even that time, having a discussion with the deputy president that time, and he told me, some of you might be resisting, but it's only in a big party where your talents will come out. Let it be an institution. And if we follow this dream, one day an El Molo will be president and create a serious political institution. And we hoped that time our brothers on the other side, NASA, would also be able to come together. Because before in this country we had, if you ask someone what is a Kikuyu party, they would know. Mm-hmm. There's a Luo party, a Kamba party is known, Luya, like 3 parties. But where was the Kenyan party? So I'm very disappointed that since we got into this term of 2017 to date, that we've not lived up to the dream of that truly national party that we wanted to create, where there's room for consultation, where you can disagree, but on issues, where you can have party position. And I kept saying, a party position is not the opinion of the party leader. It is not the opinion of a deputy party leader or the secretary general. A party position is when you call people for a meeting, you discuss an issue, we hear the different views on that issue, and once we take a collective decision, then you must take collective responsibility. So Jubilee has been poorly run, terribly run, terribly. And I feel very disappointed because many people hang on to that dream. Those who are looking at the future of our politics for the next 20, 30 years have a very bad example, and that's why it's broken down. I have always said that I believe something could be done, can be done. When you have a loved one, no matter how sick they are, you believe there's a doctor somewhere, or there's this new medicine, there's this new solution. You even sometimes take them out of the country. You don't give up. And for me, I'm not ready just to give up on the dream we had on Jubilee. But I will not lie and say I'm not disappointed with how it's been run.
If I could ask you objectively, President has 9 months to the end of his term.
Yeah.
His legacy, what will that be? And I'll ask you too.
I think that of all the things that they promised to do, they're fighting in their coalition or in their party has made it impossible. You can't actually pinpoint something that they've done from A to Z, whether it's digital literacy program, whether it's laptops, whether it's stadiums, whether it's roads, whether it's Galana Kulalu irrigation scheme. Everything has been plagued by politics, corruption, and so many things. And I bothered to say it when I had an opportunity to tell him that I think for now, the only legacy that is left is living a peaceful country. That he will live, he's young enough to see the sort of country that he's going to leave behind in September. In September 2022, assuming that you complete the election and you don't have a petition, he's going to be around to see either the mess or the peace that he has left. And therefore his legacy can only be, and for an outgoing president, the legacy can only be to leave a peaceful country. Let the chips lie where they should without appearing to want to push, because assuming that your wish is not followed or the public rebel, you end up with a problem, and you want that legacy. If you think about Mzee Moi and what he did in 2002, eventually his choice was rejected, but Kenyans forgot about it, and I think the president must think very carefully about what sort of country he wants to see in September 2022. because we cannot have seen the signs of violence, and that is dangerous. We must have a country where people understand that I don't have to disagree with Sakaja violently. But we also don't have to agree. Why do we have to agree? Let everybody stay in their corner and leave Kenyans to make their choices. We also cannot zone this country. And we in the next few days, the president, because the constitution for some reason, very strange reason, has identified the president as a symbol of national unity, the president of the Republic of Kenya. So is the person to stand in the gap when we are going to have chaos and nobody is thinking, when everything is going to go south. This President Uhuru Kenyatta, who we are going to look up to ensure that the country remains on course, irrespective of who succeeds him, and irrespective of what he thinks about the person who is going to succeed him. It's the most important thing for a country to walk away like Obama and just whistle away, and we escort him to whatever location of retirement he chooses. Let him go there and Kenyans can clap. Not be exited in such a way that it leaves people with a bad taste in their mouths. And presidents, even including governors, have this temptation to want to pick. They should resist. Every time they wake up, they should recite the Lord's Prayer. Resist the temptation to pick your successor.
Well,
resist the temptation to pick your successor.
I think if there's one man who I would not be worried about in terms of the transition, it's President Uhuru Kenyatta. Remember, this is the first person to ever concede defeat, and that was a powerful regime. In fact, a story is told about how, when the results were coming in and it was terrible for them. It was good for the rest of us. We were very happy. I was very happy. I just cleared fourth form.
In 2002.
Yeah. Good Lord. Anyway, so all these Kanu from four, all these Kanu stalwarts.
Yes.
Well, like Sasa, you guy, you're a very useless person. Why we don't even know why Moi chose you as a candidate. Now you will see. And he went to State House. And this is a true story from him. He went to State House, and they were like, there were some people who mentioned who really wanted to go at him because they're like, we cannot hand over. How do you make us lose? And so he didn't see him there that day. He went back home. But the next day he was called now to Cabernet Gardens here, Kibera. And they were like, Sasa utaona. So umeitwa, you will see him there. And they sat in a room. And in that room, Mzee said, Aya, Sema. President Uhuru Kenyatta stood his ground and said, I'm seeing the tension in the country. I want to thank you for having chosen me. We did our best. But the tension is, I think I should go and accept that we've been defeated and we'll fight another time. And President Moi told those people, you've all been wondering why I chose this guy over you. It's because of this. Uhuru Kenyatta will never watch his country burn. So no matter his choice, he's the last person I'd be afraid of that one, he will not hand over, or number two, he will lead this country down that drain. He will not. Remember, he's borne the brunt and the pain of even the NICC process. You would not wish that on your worst enemy. We had very, very sad and lonely moments. I remember when there was the, what do you call this? Confirmation of charges. When the announcement was coming on.
Yeah.
And I was sitting next to his mom in the house. You don't want anyone's mom to go through that again. Uhuru Kenyatta, you should not worry about that. But then again, also, he must not impose a leader on Kenyans. And I doubt he would. And if he does, maybe he's playing at the reverse game. You never know. But he must not. And must not, you don't try and define your own legacy. Your legacy is what people make out. You can't define, you can't determine your legacy. And he'll be remembered for many things. People might not remember him soon enough, because a lot of what he has done are things that will bear dividend over time. He has done more infrastructure than all the governments combined, from the colonial government. Yeah. Recently I was going towards Borana Conservancy and beyond. Yeah. The roads are beautiful all the way to Marsabit.
I was in Nyeri last week.
Yeah. Look at the road from Kenol. What's happening? The Mau Mau roads. There's now a new one coming from between Isiolo and Garissa, 732 kilometers. It'll be the longest road ever done. Wow. Yeah. We're doing it together with the Africa Development Bank. Look at markets. In this last few years, we've done another 54 markets, many of which are in Nairobi. So a lot of the infrastructure, the benefits will be further out. The reason why Kenyans are feeling pain is because then because of this infrastructure development, you've done a lot of too much borrowing. So there's no headroom for the banks to give people. So people don't have money in their pocket. And it's pain. And we go through it every day. Jeff, I give you my phone, you'll collapse in an hour. The kind of problems people are in, and then COVID has made it worse. And so because of that, people might say that he has not delivered, and then he has no legacy. But I assure you, in 4 or 5 years, people will remember this expressway is being done.
I was about to ask you, will this expressway will help you or help the people of Nairobi?
It will help the people of Nairobi, definitely. But it's not the solution. And it's not the solution to sort out traffic. You know, there's a book about a man called Robert Moses. Robert Moses was in charge of New York for a long time. And he started from it's a beautiful book you must read by Robert Caro, the same biographer of Lyndon Baines Johnson. And this guy did the roads and roads and roads in New York, in all these peakways and whatnot. Yes. But he was against mass transit. In fact, some of the bridges to date were so low that the bus can't pass or train. And today, that's why you still have a lot of traffic, despite the subway in New York. Yeah. The more roads you do, the more people buy cars. You remember Thika Road?
Yes.
We hyped it. Thika Road was going to be amazing. Traffic, you don't want to go there tomorrow morning. The solution is a proper mass transit system of train and buses. You put a car, people, just go watch traffic tomorrow. Each car has 2 people or 1 person. Yeah. But how many people will a train carry? And there's the space. The plan was done by JICA. I've said it many times. You know, in the Nairobi urban renewal, the new plan, there will be several nodes across the city. There's a heavy trunk. The heaviest road with the biggest load in Nairobi is still Thika Road. So from there coming to the other side of town, and from Mombasa Road coming to this other side, and then now lighter rail going around. You'll be getting out from Kawangware and say, I want to go to South Sea, and you just take one train. And you know that's how you're going. With parking silos. Let's make Nairobi work. And Uhuru Kenyatta will have a legacy on that. The political legacy is different. That's a different story. Yeah? And the jury is out there to make that judgment. You know? They say the first role of a leader is to define reality, and the last duty is to say thank you. In between, the leader is a leader. So you might just say thank you when he's done, and we will remember him how we want to remember him. You cannot determine how people will remember you.
Wise words, gentlemen, wise words. Let's go to the magic wall and see if we can see Nairobi from here. No.
Oh my goodness.
David Mutinda says, Jeff, ask Senator Mutula Jr., as the party official, why is the party changing its colors instead of changing its leadership structure that has resulted to more good candidates losing positions in grounds like Ngu Masumba Ward?
I mean,
why are you changing color? I mean, what's the point of changing colors?
I mean, we are allowed. It's rebranding.
Is it same old wine in new bottles?
No, it's new wine in new wine skin. I mean, we have got to deal with aesthetics. I mean, everybody changes color. You change your suit. You were not wearing blue yesterday, so we want to change color. Maybe it's going to be more attractive.
All the best.
We are colorful people, Bwana.
Yeah. We have to give you that.
Hard,
Kamba colors.
Yeah.
Moon Awidi says Senator Sakaja and Kilonzo are still too young to go for the 2-term gubernatorial seat. They should stay in the Senate and raise the debating level higher.
It's a good opinion.
It's an opinion, but I'll tell him 1 Timothy 4:12. Let no one look down upon you because you're young, but set an example. Yeah, and there's a power in setting examples. This country has been transformed by leaders when they were very young.
Absolutely.
Look at Tom Mboya.
Tom Mboya,
you know, in his 20s.
Yeah. Ken Matiba.
Ken Matiba. You know.
Look at Governor Mandago. He's going to retire. He's not 50.
Yeah,
he's not 50 yet.
No, Tall goes the same.
And he's done an amazing job. Governor Mandago.
Yeah. I mean, Governor Hassan Joe is not 50 yet.
He's not 50 yet.
Yeah.
And also our Formula 1 guy.
In fact,
sorry,
he's 50. Yeah. I mean, in strict terms, therefore, I'm late. Yes. Sakaja is still early. I'm late.
Yeah.
In the game.
So we are old then. Our generation.
You guys. Yeah.
We're fossils.
Absolutely, Jeff.
Jeff, do you know in the 2009 census, I'll not analyze this one very good.
Go on.
Kenyans above 50, it's only 9% of Kenyans are above the age of 50. 9. You guys should know each other.
By name.
You should be in our WhatsApp group.
Yeah. The same WhatsApp.
But I was telling you about Jimmy Kariuki earlier on.
Yeah.
You know, we were in the same class.
Yeah, the same
he and I were in the same class.
Oh my.
Yeah, back then we used to be alphabetical. Yeah. So he was K.A. Kariuki, I was K.O. Yeah. We sat almost desk to desk. Oh. And there was Kibaki in the... I'm sorry, I'm name dropping.
I'm telling you.
I'm sorry.
Dynasty.
Ibrahim Mohammed says, please ask Senators Mutula and Sakaja whether OKA has any economic model that is different from that of Baba and Ruto. An economic model, OKA. You haven't said anything about what OKA is.
No. Because they are forcing us to respond to whether you are going to give 6,000 shillings to people or whether you are going to turn the bottle upside down so that it bottoms up. We are not thinking about those things. We are thinking about making sure that the economy is running. You have money. What he's saying about money in people's pockets. How do you do that? By making sure money is circulating. Somebody said something very interesting, and I want to actually put it out there so that we see whether we can have discussions. The question of having disclosure on 1 million is actually inhibiting business. Do you know that?
It is.
It is inhibiting.
How so?
Small enterprises, because people are making 4 or 5 million shillings a day in informal sector.
You're making trade difficult,
and you're making trade very difficult, because then you have to disclose, and yet you're doing informal business. The people who are in Kikomba doing business are doing 5-6 million shillings business. When they get there, you have to disclose. So we've got to open up the economy so that people can make a coin here, a coin there, etc., etc. The KCB has a plan about a $10 per day per person, 1,000 shillings. Just the person who is selling potatoes in Wakulima market can make 1,000 shillings a day. The person who has a boda can make 1,000 shillings a day. That's the sort of thing you are talking about. You're not giving people. You're telling people, go to work.
You're enabling them.
Enabling them, telling them, go to work. But when you go to work, whether it's in formal sector, whether they are doing innovation, somebody is going to make money. And 1,000 shillings will be 1,000 shillings in your pocket. It's not 1,000 shillings because they're not.
So there's definitely an economic model. And
it's economic thinking.
You've heard it from Musalia Mudavadi, Kalonzo Musyoka, uchumi bora, pesa mfukoni. Money in the pocket. Reduction of debt.
Yes, reduction of debt.
So it's not trickle down, it's not bottom up, it's just some...
Do you know why we are suffering? Out of your 100 shillings in your pocket, 68 is going to pay debt. We're only playing with about 32 shillings. 32 shillings.
Out of every 100.
You must reduce it, Jeff. I know you're going to move to the next one.
Go on.
But you must, reassess how government is running.
Yes.
In every month, we're spending around 205 billion paying things. Operation and maintenance alone in government, operations and maintenance is at 50B. Why should it be 50B? Salaries are another 53 and pensions. Yeah, you come to, of course, counties get now 26 and it will go up because of the new revenue. You add development budget, which is the smallest component, is 25 billion. In a month, you're doing more than 205, but you're collecting less than 150 billion. Good Lord. So we're a going concern. We don't add up. So you must have that expenditure in government.
You must. We are paying about 1.6 billion on something called commitment fees on loans, which we have not taken.
1.6B.
Yeah.
Yes.
In fact, for the first time, we had to borrow domestically, borrow to pay debts. So that is where is saying, look, let's reduce the this debt exposure, and we'll have people having more money in their
because
pockets.
government is easily the biggest spender. If government is not spending and the money is going to pay debt, everybody's stuck.
Everybody's stuck.
Stuck in a rut.
Yes.
Carrington Mwendwa says, ask Sakaja and Mutula whether the new political deal between Mount Kenya Forum will delay plans by OKA to unveil its presidential candidate before Christmas.
There was no plan to unveil a candidate before Christmas. That was an ultimatum by certain leaders. That was their opinion. They wanted people to go knowing, which, I mean, it's good if they announce tomorrow. But I don't think the recent dalliance with the Mount Kenya Forum reduces it in any way. In any case, OKA is more than just about parties. For instance, I'm in Jubilee. Jubilee as a party officially is not in OKA. And I would wish that we talk to Jubilee, we talk to all these other parties and see whether we can come to an agreement.
I'm glad you cleared that you're in Jubilee. I was really wondering, huh?
No, I'm in Jubilee.
Mwangi Joseph 23 says, kindly ask Senator Sakaja if he is comfortable being kicked out of Jubilee party during the Jubilee NDC. Whoa.
For what reason? Why would I be kicked out?
Whether you're comfortable being kicked out sounds like an oxymoron.
It does. Zigzange, soon to be governors, please comment on Miguna's return saga.
it shouldn't be a saga. I think Miguna just needs to be let back. He's a Kenyan. Citizenship is not something that is given to you. It's something that cannot be taken away from you. And I said it even then, before, that of course the things he did, and the oathing, whatnot, and the government was against it. But I mean, bygones have been bygones. There's been a handshake. The person who was zoning himself is with government. There's no reason why you deny him his citizenship. And this argument that Kenyans who went away and had dual citizenship before the constitution allowed it, revoked the citizenship, is not the case. The constitution says that now you can have dual citizenship, so we must not assume that they don't want Kenyan citizenship. Any Kenyan who lost their citizenship is free to come back and reinstate their citizenship, which they lost by virtue of being a dual citizen in another country.
Agree.
I represented Miguna at some point, the earlier cases that went to the Court of Appeal. The treatment of Miguna is the sort of worst violation you have seen of a Kenyan citizen. To be told to fill in papers, books, etc., etc. If you are a citizen by birth, I mean, surely, it's by birth. You are born. Your parents are known. You don't need to fill a single sheet of paper. But what is worse is that he's possibly the only Kenyan with the most orders in his favor that have been violated by government. It's wrong. It's wrong on so many fronts.
I think
the fact that you don't disagree with what he says doesn't mean you violate his rights. We have reversed the gains of his constitution so many times, and we have allowed the executive to violate the law. And that is one of the black spots in Uhuru Kenyatta's government, violating the law for whatever, whether it's expediency, whether you think it's right or wrong, but it's wrong. What we must call it as it is. It's wrong to treat Miguna to hang around airports and embassies. What sort of message are we sending to people who would want, for example, to become citizens of this republic, or alternatively people who are just investors, are watching and thinking, if a Kenyan can be treated this way, why should I go to that country? And we want to say, want to ask people to become citizens of this republic, because if you attract foreigners, people will stay and then naturalize at some point, they become investors, they give us money, etc., etc. We are the only country that chases people away.
That's why economies like the US have been built from immigrants.
Yes, Germany allows, Australia allows people to have so many friends. You walk there, in a few days you become a citizen, you get rights, you're comfortable, they treat you well, they give you tax reliefs. Here, we are busy chasing away Kenyans.
It's so difficult. Because you work permit. Anyway.
Yeah.
There's a guy who sent his girlfriend 100 million shillings and it became a big deal. Remember?
Why?
You saw that?
Yeah. And he said, by the way, that was his pocket change. Bitcoin.
Sumaili Robert says, ask incoming Nairobi governor how he will deal with Gikomba fires. Is it from ghosts or what? You know that happens very seasonally. Eh?
Too many times, and I spoke about it in the Senate the other day, that even we are tired as leaders going to make promises, and that's why I want to govern instead of just legislating. The first issue with the Gikomba is a matter of land. Somebody somewhere thinks they have the title of Gikomba, and that's why I asked the president, a while back, to make it clear, even with the NLC, that this land is public land. That title you have, because you ban a section and you try and push, and you see a fence. You ban, you try and push people. Number two, and this for me is very painful, because I know it's not popular, but and the traders, and I've told them, they know each other. Some of them because of insurance. When they've run out of their stock, they try and, sort to get compensation. Number three, it's accidents. There's the ladies who are my good friends who cook githeri overnight. From the fire, and the wind can blow. Sometimes the street boys who they wanaota moto usiku, and there are those accidents and electrical faults. You can sort those things out. You can sort out the issue of electricity. In fact, not just in Gikomba, including Mathare. And I've said we need a social connection policy, because those people cannot afford power we give them, and that's why they have illegal connections. They should not be paying the same power bill as you pay. So we must do that social connection policy for electricity. There were these quad bikes that Governor Kidero, I think, had bought for inside Gikomba, for you to be able to move around, and have fire stations. That's why we need the fire stations right next over there. But then ultimately, and I'm glad the government, we've already done phase 1 of the building of Gikomba market. That will take around, I think, 1,000 traders, which is a drop in the ocean. We need to modernize that market. It's the biggest market in East and Central Africa. But that's why we need fire stations. And last time I spoke about it, because I saw these guys going to launch a fire station on grabbed land, yeah, in parklands, you know, in High Ridge. So somebody you grab land, and then you donate part of it to build a fire station. Yet all of it was supposed to, and that's a matter I'm going to follow up to the end. And I hope they're listening, you guys.
Someone has a title for Gikomba.
Someone has a title.
Apparently.
Someone was given, yeah.
And somebody has a title for Mukuru.
Mukuru is even a bigger issue.
Oh.
Yeah.
Good Lord.
Yeah, the title was given to someone. And, you know, even if they lay claim to it, I think government should treat the people of Nairobi with dignity. The same way Waitiki land was sorted out, and Waitiki was given compensation.
That's right.
Mzee Njenga of Mkuru kwa Njenga, until the day he died, you know, he would come to, I told him, stop coming to my office, because he was such a frail mzee. He comes there crying about Mukuru. The last time I saw him was at his home. The history of that place is well documented, you know. And so if it's a legal dispute that these are people who own it, stop telling people to put money in your account. They're putting money in somebody's bank account. 400,000 shillings. Let government finish that matter and compensate the people of Mukuru. So we've told them, those who were evicted illegally, beyond the feeder roads, to go back until this matter is sorted out by government. They're as Kenyan citizens as anybody else.
So you said there was a Mukuru, there was a Jenga in Mukuru?
Njenga himself.
And Ruben, was that the same thing? Was there Ruben?
Ruben was named after somebody else as well.
Oh.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. Okay. Betsa Marvin says, when Senators Johnson, Sakaja and Senator Mutula are on the bench, it's always mature conversations rather than shouting at each other as others do. Wow.
We're about to search out.
I wonder, who are those others?
I don't know.
You should tell us who you bring to the bench.
In whose hands?
Are you?
No, but it's lovely.
Well done, guys. Well done. Closing thoughts. Moving forward. Let's start with you, Senator.
Jeff, I've said this before. This is our country. We must love this country. We must do our politics. But this country is greater than all of us. And somebody said we are holding brief for others. And therefore, every actions we are taking. Today, I was actually discussing in terms of climate change. Said that it pains me that when we were young, and Sakaja can confirm, the river that was flowing around Nairobi used to have king prawns.
The fish, yeah.
Fish. We used to fish. Now it's sewer. Now, when the person when I was watching COP26 said that we are digging our graves, yet if you go to Geneva, you can see the bottom of the river in Geneva and River Thames, or whether you go to Beijing, and they're saying we are digging our graves. And yet in Nairobi, the capital city of Nairobi, there is sewer running in a river, and nobody is taking action. It pains me that there's a Kenyan who thinks that it's a good idea to pour effluents into a river, pour industrial waste into a river, because he doesn't care that there are people downstream who are going to consume that water. If you go to Machakos, places like where my wife comes from in Kabaa, you find people are farming sukuma wiki. Those sukuma wikis are finding themselves into people's tables. It's wrong, and we must call what is wrong wrong. So we must take care of the environment the way we love ourselves, but we must love this country more than we even love ourselves. We plead on my part that we are going into a very, very serious season. They call it the silly season. We must continue preaching peace.
Would you, Mzee, be disappointed if in today's Kenya? Would you be disappointed?
Absolutely disappointed, because strictly speaking, the celebrations they had in 2010, where fundamental rights, we were celebrating Chapter 5 of the Constitution. It's such that if somebody threatened your right in Chapter 5, you can actually get an order. An apprehension, just the thought that somebody is violating your right, you can get an order. Not in this country anymore. They'll violate your order, you go to court, you have a court order, say this is a piece of paper. That's not the country we wanted to build. That's not why we have a constitution. You see? No. I was shocked that there is evidence, for example, in some of these scandals, somebody went and withdrew money in cash, put it in a pocket and took off. He has never been prosecuted. I mean, what are you talking about?
Oh.
It's wrong. And that person is still in office.
Senator, you get the last word.
Jeff, I'm just counting because I love doing that.
Yes.
In 257 days and 7 minutes, Kenyans will be making a decision. It's just 257 days, or 6,168 hours. Or if you'd like it in minutes, it's 370,000 minutes. Kenyans will be making a decision.
Yeah.
As Mutula said, it is silly season,
Yeah.
in many respects. There have been, flashes of people booing each other, lack of tolerance, intolerance. And we always tell people, look, when you're listening to a radio and you hear a song you don't smash the radio. You change the station. Or you switch it off.
Yes.
So I want to tell Kenyans, let's tolerate each other. Let everybody be able to speak freely wherever they are. If you do not like that person, you don't have to be in that meeting. Because those things breed animosity. So today, if William Ruto is booed in Kisumu, tomorrow, somebody else will be booed elsewhere. If tomorrow Raila is booed in Meru, he'll also go to where he has a stronghold. An eye for an eye, we will lose our sight. So let's have tolerance and let's have peace. That is my word. And I want to tell young people, I know there'll be another registration drive in January. Good people of Kenya. Bad leaders are elected by good people who don't register. The young people, because the numbers based on the target are so low. We expected around 5-6 million. We've hardly gotten one. Nairobi, we expected 750,000. We've hardly hit 100,000. So we have more or less the electorate we had. And it's because, and I said on Sunday, people are upset. I said it's because we're not seeing inspirational messages coming from the top. So they're not inspired to make the decision. But I want to tell them your vote counts. Young people, your vote counts. Register to vote. And finally, let's make Nairobi work.
And I can add one more thing, folks. Evil prospers when good people do nothing.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? When people just sit on the side and do nothing, that's when evil prospers.
The devil takes over.
Gentlemen, good to see you and good luck with your prospective.
Good Lord, it's midnight.
This show has gone for 2 days.
But time flies when you're having fun, huh?
Absolutely.
It's been a while. And everyone should know we've not come this year. This is the first time.
This year?
This year.
Great conversation, though. Great conversation.
Always a pleasure.
I can't wait for the wiper colors tomorrow.
Absolutely, me too.
If a chameleon passes there, it can die.
Oh my goodness.
Senator, when you guys decide to have it in NDC, let us know. When you let us, when you have
Murade will communicate.
And when he's being thrown in, let him know too. That applies to me too.
We shall invite you.
Great conversation. Thank you so much for being a part of the show, folks. This is what real conversation is all about. Because I keep saying, let's keep talking. The moment we stop talking, it's the moment